Flowmies, it's time for another edition of the ITF Flowcast. Now, if you know me, I am Gabe Gutierrez. I own Gabe Spotless Window Clean out of Tucson, Arizona. We've been in business for about 22 years, and I am a mod, an admin really of the Into the Flow Facebook group that everyone here is a part of. And if you know me, I've written for the American Window Cleaner magazine for a few years now, and I used to have a article called Gabe's Corner. What we wanted to do was to bring Gabe's Corner to the ITF Flowcast. And that way, once in a while, I'm going to just come on here, talk about some things that I feel strongly about, things that might be able to help you in your business. Now, before I go on, I want to make it clear, I do not claim to be a guru. I will not turn your $100,000 a year business into $1 million business overnight. I don't have any secrets of that sort. What I am going to share in these little segments are just things that I've learned and observed as a business owner, number one, as a father, as a husband, but also as someone who really feels that they have an obligation to be a responsible business owner, both to the community, to their employees, to the people who they do business with. And so that's what these segments are going to be. And this will be the first Gabe's Corner of 2022. And we hope to have many of them as we go on. But this time I wanted to talk about a particular article I wrote a couple years ago in the American Window Cleaner magazine, and it was called "Your Business is a Tree." And the reason why I want to talk about this is because this is a philosophy that I've had. It's kind of evolved over time. Part of it was I didn't even realize that I was starting to think this way. But as I've run my business and the longer that I've been in it, I've noticed that this is where I gear and how I view my business and how I run it is based on this model. So what do I mean by your business is a tree? Well, oftentimes people view their business as their source of income. So I almost view their business as it's their place of work. So someone may go to the bank and work as a teller. Someone may go to a construction company and work as a carpenter. Someone may work at Walmart. We all have a job. We earn income. We get the paycheck, and then we pay our bills with that, and we are able to live our lives in that sort. However, as being a business owner, I've come to see that over time, you start to understand that your business, it has roots that stretch out within your community, whether you realize it or not. A lot of people have a cash cow mentality for their business. In other words, they have a business, they're in it for the money that they get back. And again, there's nothing wrong with having that mentality, because for many people, they are just business people. They know how to make money, and that's what they do. They may even have their hands in a bunch of different businesses, running it, or maybe sometimes starting a business to sell it to others, and that's how they make their money. And all of those are, above board. And I totally understand why people would want to do something like that. But for me, my business, when I first started it, it was small. It was just a part-time thing that I did. It was something that supported my wife and I, as we had a lot of goals that we had, traveling, volunteer work. We definitely had a vision of our life being a certain way. Of course, we had our daughter, which changed things, and the business had to grow in order to be able to provide for the needs that I had as for my family. But what I noticed was that my business, it kind of grew on its own. Certainly I put work into it. It was my brand. It was my customer service, and I have a reputation in the community because of my hard work. However, I liken it to this story, and I told this on the Flowmy Roundtable that we had in December. And this was something that happened to me when we were younger. My nana, my grandmother, she had this property, and it had this, she thought it was a weed, and it was in front of her yard, and she kept kind of hoeing it and hoeing it and hoeing it. And she was complaining that, man, this weed doesn't go away every time I hoe it. It still keeps coming back. And we looked at it and we're like, no, this is a tree. This is not a weed. And she was like, oh, well, then I'll let it grow. And it seemed like overnight, this tree just sprout up. It was a Palo Verde tree, which, if you're familiar with that, it's a tree with like a green bark, and it has these real pretty yellow flowers that grow on it. And it just shot up. And before you knew it, she had this new tree in the front of her yard that hadn't been there before. And that's kind of how my business grew. I was part-time for many years. I had our daughter in 2009, and it was about 2012 that I started realizing that the way the business was as it is it's not going to be enough to provide. Not if my wife, who wanted to stay home with their daughter, that was one of the things that was important to her. If she was going to stay home, our bills were increasing as our daughter was getting older, and the business had to be more if it was going to support us. So that's really when I started investing in marketing and trying to grow it. And I started really taking the time to learn what it meant to be a business owner. That's when I joined around that time, a little later, I joined the IWCA. I started going to conventions, started getting training, learning how to be a business owner. But my business, once I started paying attention to it, it just shot up. It shot up like that tree, and it it humbled me, because what it showed me was that the business itself, it was going to grow. And the work that I had put into it, I had planted the seeds, I had tilled the ground, I had fertilized the dirt, everything was set for this business to just sprout. And as soon as I gave it the room to grow, it did. But it wasn't all me, it was the reputation of the business, and the customers themselves, who had referred their friends to me. You started seeing that there was an ecosystem here that was already starting to take place. And I kind of realized that, if I were to step away from this business or at least at least not do anything with it, this business would continue to grow as it is. However, if I were to be a caretaker of this business and to treat it responsibly, to do the things that were necessary to make sure that, one, it was efficient, two, that I was making the right decisions for its growth as far as advertising and equipment buying and all that stuff. If I took the time to really do that, this would actually grow not only faster, but stronger. And it would be a healthier business if I did things the right way. And so that's the seed, so to speak, of my thinking of the business as being separate from me. Because this whole time before, I was the business and the business was me. Not in the sense that all I thought about was the business, because that definitely, if you know me, that's not me. I don't spend my whole time thinking about how to make money. That's not what's important to me. This was an asset that helped me to do the things that I wanted to do. But I started realizing that if it was going to be what I needed it, I had to pay attention to it. And I started realizing that I was more, instead of being in the business, I was more of the caretaker of the business. And it was my job to ensure that the business continued growing by, one, making sure the work was quality, making sure I had good customer service, making sure we were dependable, and keeping our promises to the customers who were hiring us. So about that time is when I started hiring, because I realized that by myself, it wasn't going to cover the needs that we had. So I started hiring. I hit a lot. I mean, well, anybody who's hired, the roadblocks that you hit when you first start hiring. You don't know what you're doing, and had some misses, had some good guys who came and went. But as I went on and started doing the hiring more and more and having larger crews, I started realizing that the people who did the best in my company were people who cared about the company. And I started thinking about me, because I had other jobs as well. I didn't just do that. I usually did Windows part-time, and I had another job with some, for one, I did a grease trap cleaning for a long time. I worked for a friend. And, I really, in any job that I had, and this is, of course, my dad always taught us that whatever job we did, you work for it as if you own that business, because that's your responsibility. You're accountable to the owner, because they're paying you money to represent their company. So whoever I worked for, that's how I worked. I worked as if this were my company. And I didn't do everything great. I wasn't an expert in a lot of the fields that I was working in, but I worked hard, and I tried to be on time and tried to be dependable. I cared what their customers thought about the company that I was working for. And those were the people I wanted to hire for my business. What I started realizing was that I needed to hire caretakers. I needed to hire people who, like me, saw the business as an asset that they could benefit from. So in what ways do people benefit from the business? Well, the business provides a lot of things, not just for me personally as a business owner, because I think people get stuck in that box, right? They think, oh, he owns the business, he gets all the money and the workers don't get anything. And I think that's usually the kind of mindset that a lot of people have. But if you run it right, the business not only benefits the owner, it should benefit the employees. It should benefit them in that they feel it is worth their time to be there. And I've always wanted whoever worked for me to feel like they were getting a good deal with me, that they were happy. And it didn't mean that this was their life work. They may work with me for me with 1 or 2 years and then go off and do whatever they really wanted to do, something they were going to school for, or something that was their passion. And I always supported my employees. But you do get your share of people who are just there for a job and they really don't care about your business. They really don't care. They're going to do the minimum that's required to get that paycheck. And then eventually they go. And those people, again, there's nothing wrong with that, because I don't expect people to love my business like I do, because I'm the one who started it. But I didn't want those people to hang around. If they may have served a purpose with the company for a while, if we're busy and we just needed experienced hands, but the ones I wanted to stay, I wanted them to be caretakers, because I wanted them to feel that they benefited from the tree just as much as I did, that it provided for their family, that it helped to put their kids through school, help put their kids, if they needed to go to the hospital or they needed things, clothes, whatever things they need. I wanted the job to be able to help them provide for their family in that way, but also for the community as a whole. Being a business, and now that I'm larger, or not that I'm not huge, but I definitely buy more materials than I did when I first started. But that means I'm buying things. I try to buy local all the time. So I'm supporting my local, janitorial stores when I buy stuff. I try to buy as much as I can buy local. We do. And hopefully that means that I'm putting money back into the community, into the local economy, and helping other businesses to thrive. Also, by virtue of the contacts that I have, because of my customers or other people I do business with, I now can give recommendations to other local small business owners. And if people need, hey, do you know someone who does concrete? Do you know someone who does house cleaning? Do you know someone who does, I've got people that I can refer and hopefully help other small businesses with their growth as well. So as this has gone on, what I start to see the business as it's more of an asset than a transactional relationship, right? So instead of viewing the business as something that is just there to give me money, I start to see the business as a tree that is an asset to not only myself, but also to my employees and the community. And what that does is that changes your mindset, that changes your view, one, of your employees, because now when you have an employee who is a caretaker, well, now you're like a partner with them. You're working with them. I think what happens a lot is you get this whole, I'm the boss, you do what I say, and you got to do it. And it's true. Sometimes you do got to pull that, especially with certain employees who need that. It's almost like they don't respond unless you have to show your, kind of throw your weight around to get them to do something. I hate doing that. I hate it. I've had to do it before in the past. It's not my style. But if you can get someone who's a caretaker, they care about the success of the tree just as much as you do. So now you're working together with them. You kind of feel, and that's why with all of our shirts, we have Team GSWC on the front, because I want my crews to be a cohesive unit, that we're working together. We help each other. If one person is running late on a job and another finishes early, that person's going to go help them. They check in on each other. Hey, how are you doing on that job? Do you need help? I can go help you. Yeah, please come on. That's the type of culture that I want growing in that, because we all are benefiting from this tree. And so if we don't take care of the tree, eventually, it could die, and then we lose our source of income. And that's something that, we can't have. So by viewing our employees as partners, both whether they're techs, whether they're in the office answering phones and doing scheduling, whatever they're doing behind the scenes, everyone, they are just as valuable in ensuring that the tree continues to grow, that it stays healthy, and that it's something that provides for everyone. But it also changes my view of customers as well. I think sometimes business owners get caught up in viewing customers almost as like an obstacle, like, oh, my business would be great if I didn't have to deal with customers, and you hear that a lot. But if you remember, the customers it's like they're the water, right? They're the water that brings the money in, that keeps the business going. And so when you view them as that source, well, now they are important. They're a vital source of not just the health financially of the business, but the health with the reputation, with the enjoyment of the job, all of those things that come with running a business. Having a good relationship with your customers and viewing them in that light just enhances all the other parts of that. So viewing your employees and customers as more than just transactional, but as part of this asset, really changes your view of the business and makes it a lot more enjoyable to work. Because you start to see that there really is a symbiotic relationship. You provide a service that gives them enjoyment. They give you money, which helps you to continue on and helps your business to thrive. And so, but that is also is when you do that, then you have a sense of purpose in your business. Then it's not just, oh, I got to go to work because I need a paycheck. It's like you're doing something, right? You're helping your fellow neighbor. You're helping this tree to continue growing, and you have this purpose that keeps the work from being boring. You're accomplishing something, and having that really helps us to continue on. But trees, they are not just there to give you fruit or give you shade. They're a source of beauty. I love going to. We love going up to. We have a place in Tucson called Mount Lemmon. It's real high elevation, beautiful trees. We don't have like a fall in Tucson because we're desert. But if you want fall, you go up to Mount Lemmon. You can see all the colors, the leaves fall, all that stuff, and it's just really beautiful. But we'll drive up there. It's about an hour and a half, drive to get there. But it's worth it to see the trees. And I think what's cool about the business is the business, I feel it provides something. It's a source of pride for not just myself, not just my employees, but for the community. I've been able to network and I have relationships with a lot of local business owners. Some are window cleaners, some are businesses that are kind of closely related, like carpet cleaning or house cleaning and those types of things. But even others like restaurants. I love the culture, the restaurant culture that we have in Tucson, and I know a lot of and I think it's cool because a lot of them. They kind of have we have a fellowship with each other on that, that they want me to do well, I want them to do well, and you start to see that the tree is part of these other trees that exist in our community that I want to see. I love looking at successful businesses. I love seeing people who have worked hard to grow and they're supporting others, and they're encouraging others. And you start to see you're not just a lone tree, but you're part of this orchard, that's growing, supporting each other, and our roots are intermingling. And we're doing things that are helping to make the whole place healthier, stronger, and keeping our economy going strong. But anyhow, that's this month's Gabe's Corner. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's something that helps you think. Again, I don't claim to be a master or anything that's more than just a person who has done windows for a long time, has been in a community for a long time, and someone who cares about what he does. But hopefully some of the things we talked about here helps to change your perspective on your business and can help you go on. So thank you so much for listening, Flowmies. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later. And as always, flow on.